Since I left Barbados, I really regretted everything I did, and I feel like in a way I want to go back to the UK for like a second chance to start my life over again. When I first came out of Dawla, I was still in the brainwashed mentality. Like I still supported them because of what they told me and what they taught me. And back in Hull, there was a lot of dangers that came with not supporting Dawla, you know, threatening to burn down my tent and stuff. And I knew that everyone was watching my case and like what the journalists were saying about me and what I was saying, like how I was presenting myself to the journalist. So anything I said against Dawla, anything I said against Islam that I didn't believe in, they would just immediately attack me. So I was afraid of that. But when I came here, I realized there wasn't that much danger. I had more people to support me, like in what I believed in, and so I feel more open to speak about it now. Just women that don't believe in what Dawla did. They were in the same situation as me. They came thinking one thing, but then when they actually came, they saw a whole different story. After my son died, a lot of people came to me saying, yeah, we know how you feel, our children died too.
Who was threatening you in Al-Khor?
Indonesians. They are more extreme than Dawla, really. They told me that me not covering my face, it means I'm not Muslim, which is not true. And that gives them right to burn down my tent. These people are more extreme than Dawla. Some people, they don't even believe Dawla are Muslim. And they have their own ideology that they've created out of ignorance and pride. Once they came out of Dawla, they could like talk about their beliefs. Now that there's no Dawla, they're allowed to run free in these camps and do and threaten whoever they want to. When I first came out of Barbados, I was still brainwashed. I still did support Dawla in a way, like not in everything they did, obviously, but I was still brainwashed. And like I said, when I was in Hull, I was afraid for my life and for my child's life, my tent being burned down because of what I say on the media. But speaking to other women and them explaining to me properly, like what I don't know about my religion and actually what Dawla did is not okay, and them showing me the evidence, I have made up my mind. Still now, I don't know what Dawla did. Whenever these women tell me about stories of what Dawla did to them, I'm just in shock because I didn't even realize this was happening behind my back while I was in Dawla, thinking that everything was great. They did some really bad things to some people, putting women in prison, killing people's husbands, like unlawfully. When my citizenship was first taken away, I was like contemplating asking for asylum in Holland, but then I saw the situation and I was like, they don't even want their own people right now, so why would they want me?
Shamima, answer me as honestly as you can. How did it begin?
Firstly, like when you're a teenager, you're at that stage in your life where you're kind of vulnerable and you're looking for like a purpose because you don't feel like you have one. So I started practicing. Shamima was the one that encouraged me to practice, but she wasn't the one that encouraged me to go to Dawla. And then I feel like Western media in a way was one of the reasons that I did go, because at the time Dawla was all over the news, every day they would say, oh, they took new territory, they're in a way becoming a government in a way. So like when I saw that on the news, I was like, this is a safe option for me. Like if I do give up my entire life in the UK and go there, it's a stable life. And then obviously there was, on the internet, I did meet a lot of people that encouraged me to come as well and brainwashed me. At the time, I was like slightly depressed. I didn't have a lot of friends. I wasn't really connected with my family. I couldn't speak to them about any problems I had, anything. So it was just easy to manipulate me. And the people online, they would tell me, oh, your family, they don't pray, they don't do this, they don't listen to you. They won't listen to you if you tell them to pray and start like practicing properly. They're gonna take you to hellfire if you stay with them. A lot of it was based on fear of, going to hellfire.
How long was he sick for before he died?
I just woke up one morning and he was really pale. His lips were blue and he was like breathing really hard. So we just took him to the hospital here. I took him early in the morning, and then he died like at 12 o'clock at night time. It was like a chest infection. They said pneumonia, but it was a chest infection.
Where is he buried?
Outside the fence. It's ground. I just took him there to get buried.
Is there a marker or a...
No. It's just there.
Jara was buried the day after he died?
He died like at 12 o'clock at night, and I stayed in the hospital waiting for them to come back for me, and then in the morning they came and they buried him outside.
Was there anyone with you when he died?
I was just sitting in the room by myself. When I started to see that he wasn't actually breathing, I called the nurse and she brought in the doctor and they started, trying to...
Resuscitate?
Yeah, him.
How long did they try to resuscitate him for?
Like 5 minutes.
After which it became apparent he was dead and couldn't be resuscitated, right? Then what happened? They left you there, or they...
Yeah, they just left me there with him. I just stayed there with him overnight.
Were you there to bury him, or they buried him without you?
I mean, they wanted to take me from him and bury him, but I said, no, I want to be there when he gets buried. There was not an imam there, but some people who work outside the gates, they prayed over him.
Do you regret speaking to journalists?
Very much, yeah. I just think that you were the only journalist I spoke to before I gave birth. After I gave birth and I saw my son in my hands and I realised the like, what's the word? Like, the responsibility I had now, like, towards him to, like, get me back to the UK. I was just really desperate and I just blurted out everything. I tried to answer every question really quickly. I did it out of desperation, so maybe not all my answers were clear. There was a lot of force involved and a lot of manipulation, like on the side of the journalists and on the side of the people who worked in the camp. I mean, the second interview I ever did, it was straight after I gave birth. Like, I was still in the delivery room and they were knocking on the door. So that was kind of, yeah. I couldn't even sit up properly and they were just shining a camera in my face. You know, my son. It was not that easy, no. They just pressured me a lot. And that's why I slipped up a lot. I think every single woman in here needs psychological help. Even some of the children. The way I see them and how they act. We try to act normal, but every now and then we slip up and kind of break down. Or
Have you had the chance to break down?
not really.
You lost 3 children in the space of certainly not more than 6 months, probably in 5 months.
Yeah. It's really hard, but I just have to accept it and move on, really. I know it sounds like, kind of like I don't care, but I really do care. But it's just, they're in a better place now, I guess. You know, I'm not afraid anymore of Dola or the bombings and stuff. Like, every now and then we hear thunder and we get scared because we think it's bombings. And like, when we hear shooting, we get really stressed out and scared. I think that will always stay with me. I don't, like, the fear of bombings and stuff. The fear of having to, out of nowhere, get up and run.
Do you feel traumatised? Is it something you consciously feel, or not really?
Extremely traumatised, yeah, from everything. The entire time in Dola, I was always under stress that, like, maybe I'll get killed, maybe I'll get injured, maybe... Like, I didn't mind getting killed, but getting injured, that was a big fear factor. When I had my kids, I used to be really scared of having to run and having to carry them.
How is it speaking to your family now?
Back in Dola, when I first contacted them, they were obviously really sad. They wanted me to come back. And I just kept telling them, no, I want to stay here. And that was before I realised what Dola was actually doing and that I actually don't support them. After I realised the corruption that was going on in Dola and that I didn't actually want to stay, I still couldn't tell them I want to leave because I was afraid of the military police in Dola. I think we are on good terms when it comes to, like, me wanting to come back and me wanting to be with them. Me wanting to, like, start a relationship with them again, because I understand I was the reason that our, like, family fell apart in a way because I left. Now I have to make amends. They did always, like, seem like they were loving you. Especially at the end when me and my husband said we wanted to leave, they were willing to help.
Can you explain to me what is the draw of returning home? I mean, obviously you don't want to stay here for your
Yeah.
life, that's for sure.
I mean, it's just a place that I'm familiar with. I'm pretty sure if I do go back to Britain, there's going to be a lot of new things I have to adapt to, but it's the only place I know. It's the only place I've ever been. You know, it's where I grew up. It's where I went to school.
Do you miss Bethnal Green at all?
Yeah, very much. I have sat down and thought about how long I would have to stay here, and I just kind of accepted it that I will have to stay here. I will have to make this like a second home. And it's easy, you know, because I do have women around me, friends around me who help me emotionally get through it.